Hi guys, in today's video, let's talk about something that happens to a lot of expats that maybe a lot of people just don't really discuss so much. And that's over-the-top jealousy in relationships with Filipinos. So we're going to discuss, is it cultural, is it insecurity, or is there something deeper going on? So stick around, this could save you from a major headache or even possibly a breakup. So in Filipino culture, romantic loyalty is prized, and cheating is seen as a huge betrayal, but it actually happens a lot more than you would think here. Cheating occurs, during the pandemic, I can't tell you how many girls were in LDR relationships with foreigners and who were just out dating everyone and just keeping everything under wraps. Hell, I even went on a date with a girl and she had later told me, she's like, yeah, I'm in an LDR with a foreigner. She's like, I really love him, but I just, I haven't seen him forever. And I was like, okay. So that was actually quite common when the pandemic was going on, and girls were over here waiting for their LDRs. Well, yeah. So it makes you wonder how many people are in LDRs and are being cheated on, you know what I mean? There's also a strong emphasis here on possessiveness equals love. And they really do want to be in every aspect of your life. Like they want to be on your phone, they want to know where you're at, they want to control where you go, who you see, who you're even friends with. I've had that many times about, I don't like your friends, I don't think you should hang around them, I don't think you should go do this, I don't think you should go do that. And so they can become very possessive, and somehow they think that equals love. And it's just, sometimes it can be way over the top on that. And I think a lot of Filipinos just grow up seeing that jealousy is a normal type of behavior or a normal sign of affection. And they just kind of grow up with it and they kind of learn it. It's kind of a learned behavior. That, and they really are, they show that Latin culture. I think this is also based in their Latin culture. If you had went to, for example, like Mexico and the Philippines, you would find more commonalities between those two countries than another country in Asia if you were comparing against the Philippines, because geographically really is about the only thing Asian in the Philippines. Otherwise, it has more to do with Latin culture than it does with other Asian cultures here in Southeast Asia. So when you get a girlfriend here, especially one who's never dated a foreigner, you might notice extreme protectiveness early on. And again, that could be just because maybe you are the coveted prize here and they really are jealous of other people and possessive. They don't want others to, they know you have a lot of options here. They know that's true. And so they are extra possessive, extra jealous, even more so than they are with their Filipino partners. So what are some signs that she's over the top jealous here? And what does jealousy even look like here? Well, one is the checking of your phone. She checks for your phone. She wants the passwords. She wants passwords to all your social media accounts. And granted, if you've been in a long relationship, if you guys want to hand that stuff out, that's fine. I don't think it should ever go past that. I do think if your relationship ever went sour, you have to be careful. She really could kind of mess with things. But yeah, you have to be careful with that. She might get upset if you speak to female waitresses or cashiers, if you smile at them. Oh, why were you talking to her? Well, I was just trying to give my order. I was just being polite. Well, why did you have to smile? Why did you have to make a joke? I've had that before. So another sign here. She doesn't want you hanging out with friends, especially female ones. Now that one, I'm kind of in the belief that if you're in a serious relationship, I certainly don't want my partner hanging out with male friends. And so I can see that why she wouldn't want me to hang out with female friends. But I've had jealousy even just grabbing coffee with guy friends. Why do you have to meet them so often? And I would say, well, it's only once a week. It's only for like an hour or so. What's the big deal? And sometimes there's quite a double standard here as well. They think it's okay to go hang out with their friends and do a nail spa, but you want to go and grab coffee with your friends, and that's a different story. She might question your social media likes and followers. Now, again, this is one of those things that if you have 5,000 Facebook friends and 90% of them are Filipinas and they're liking and commenting on your posts, well, why do you have so many Filipino friends? And vice versa. If she's got 5,000 friends and a lot of them are foreign guys, that's not okay with me and in my book, and probably for a lot of you guys as well. So, and accuses you of flirting over innocent things. I've been accused and gotten tompo over things that I had no clue. Just a polite smile at somebody, a waitress or what have you, and just tompo, just boom. And I didn't even know, you don't even know what you did until hours later. What's the matter? Nothing. So that can happen quite often as well. I've had guys that have messaged me and told me, hey, my Filipina partner flipped out because I took a picture with a female relative, a female coworker. For example, I had on my Facebook when I first arrived, I had a picture of me and my 3 sisters. And I had a Filipina that I was dating, find the photo and circle them. Who are they? And I said, they're my sisters. And she responded back, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure they're my sisters. She found a going away photo from my job when I was working at the insurance company with some female coworkers, all at a big table. It was my going away dinner. She circled like each individual girl. Who is this? Who are they? Why are you with them? It was just over the top insanity. By the way, guys, living abroad comes with risks that most people don't think about, especially when it comes to your online security. That's why I always use Surfshark VPN. Whether I'm at a cafe, hotel, or airport, I don't trust public Wi-Fi, and neither should you. Surfshark encrypts everything so hackers and snoops can't get to your data, your passwords, or your bank accounts. It also lets me access websites, news, online banking, and streaming services. Like I'm still in the US. It is super helpful when you're living overseas, whether the Philippines, Southeast Asia, or anywhere for that matter. And Surfshark VPN is available on all of your devices at one price. Use my link below to get a huge discount and up to 3 months for free, all for one low price. Surfshark's the only VPN that I trust while living in the Philippines or Southeast Asia or anywhere in the world for that matter. Check it out today by using the link in the description or the pinned comment. Okay, so jealousy, insecurity, why does it happen? Well, it could be because there might be a big age gap or financial imbalance. And she knows this. She knows that maybe, for example, even if you're only bringing a Social Security pension of, I don't know, $1,200, $1,500 a month, for her, that's huge, especially when the average wage is around less than $300 a month. So, there's that big imbalance, and so she knows that other Filipinas would also be very interested in you as well because of the financial imbalance alone. She might worry that you might leave her for someone younger or better. I mean, maybe you're 50 and she's 28. She may say, well, God, there's a lot of beautiful 23-year-olds around. There's a lot of insecurity there, especially with dating foreigners overseas. Many Filipinas have seen stories or personal experiences of being abandoned. And so, I had a Filipina that didn't want me to go get massages because she's like, well, I heard of a foreigner that left his girlfriend for a masseuse. And I said, that's just a random story, a random occasion. That doesn't mean that happens all the time, but she was convinced that if you would see a masseuse, then you would leave her. So, they get some of these crazy ideas and crazy stories that they've heard. And sometimes just the experience of telenovelas in social media. They'll read on social media about breakups and guys cheating, telenovelas. The cheating is nonstop, and then it's just hammered into their head. The dramas often paint cheating as very common, so suspicion becomes default. Because it's just ingrained into them with the telenovelas on TV and the social media stories. Cultural differences in communication. Communication can be a huge issue. Even though you may both be speaking English to each other, she doesn't quite get maybe sarcasm or little innuendos and things like that. And so, she can mistake a lot of the communication. I think us Western men are a little more open and friendly to people than what they're used to, and so it comes across as a lot of flirting. And like I said, it's just kind of misread. They see it as flirting. We see it as just being friendly. Smiling to the waitress. She's got a hard job. Just smiling at her or saying thank you and being over nice is like a big deal for your Filipina. She's going to see it as flirting. And Filipino culture can be a little bit more conservative and protective. So it's not that Filipinos are naturally jealous. It's the mix of culture, fear, and experience that leads to this behavior often. Okay, so when does it go too far? For me, a little bit of jealousy is kind of endearing. It's okay because it shows that, she's interested, that she really cares for you. But when it crosses a certain point, then you're kind of like, okay, wait a second, this is borderline craziness here. One of them is isolation. She doesn't want you to have friends, and just basically just wants to cut you off, isolate you, keep you away from friends, keep you away from, any kind of influence. I would get that a lot. Oh, your friends influence you. They're a bad influence. This person cheated on his girlfriend, and things like that. So yeah, that can be a major issue as well. Emotional manipulation, crying or guilt tripping, like, oh, I don't have any friends, why do you get to go and have friends, and just things like that. So they can do the crying and the emotional manipulation. So that's definitely, for me, going too far as well. In fact, I want a Filipina to have friends. I want her to have a little bit of a social life. I don't want her to be with me 24/7. I don't want to be her entire world. I want to be part of her world, if that makes sense. I don't want to be where she is just gravitating around me all the time. I don't want it to be like that. Sometimes they want to control your behavior, your schedule, or even your online presence. They want to monitor everything you post on social media, your schedule, when you do this, when you do that. She doesn't, for example, I would say, hey, I'm going to run to the store and I'm going to pick up this. Why don't you wait till Wednesday when we are going to the grocery store, when we can go to the grocery store together? I'm like, well, what's the big deal? I want this snack now, and you're busy. Why can't I just go? Things like that. Threats and also emotional blacklist. Those are common as well. So jealousy is normal to a degree, but when it becomes possessive or controlling, that's a major red flag in my book. You're in a relationship. You're not in a prison. If it gets to that point, get yourself out of the situation. You do not want to be in a situation like that where you become a prisoner in your relationship. Definitely avoid that at all costs. So the last thing I want to talk about is just how to handle it. If you can even handle it at a certain point or not. And for me, it's all about being honest early on boundaries. Let them know, listen, I have a group of friends, and every once in a while I'm going to go do this. Or I like to get massages. So, once a week, I like to go get a massage. I need some alone time. I have a friend that tells his wife, I need 1 day of being completely alone once a week. I just need to have this time to myself to reflect, to unwind, to maybe play video games, to go meet up with the guys. I need 1 day a week to do this. So I think early on, setting boundaries and letting them know this is the way it is, and if you can't handle it, then sorry. You may have to reassure her of your loyalty on a regular basis. For example, I used to call it preemptive, a preemptive move. For example, you're at the coffee shop with the guys, do a quick selfie showing, hey, here I am. I'm with the guys at the coffee shop. Hey, I'm at the grocery store. I'm not saying do that all the time, but maybe it just takes a little bit of being reassured. Listen, I said I'm going to the store, this is where I'm at. I'm going to the coffee shop, this is where I'm at. Now, I think after a while, hopefully, that she would become comfortable and no longer need that assurance. But I call it preemptive reassurance. And don't hide your phone, but also don't surrender it either. For me, again, if you're in a serious relationship and it's been for a while, and you want to be able to hand off your phone to each other, I think that's okay. But early on, just surrendering your phone whenever she wants to just scroll through it I don't find that acceptable, especially, when I've got my banking and crypto or 401k or whatever all on there. I certainly don't want somebody just scrolling through my phone whenever they want. She's more than welcome to sit next to me and watch me. Hey, no problem. But I'm not just surrendering my phone whenever she wants to go dig through it like a detective. Be clear that you need space and friendships outside of the relationship. I kind of touched on that before, but it's very important that you have your time to yourself, time to go hang out with friends once in a while, and time for you guys together. But you need a healthy balance. You need to have a mix of things. If you're just 24/7 with your girl, it's gonna ruin the relationship. I promise you that. If things escalate, consider maybe taking a break or just ending it, because again, if it goes over the top, it's probably not ever going to change. Most of the time, those type of Filipinas, they are not going to change. That's the type of person they are, and they are going to be like that, and things are not going to get better. They're probably going to just get worse, to be honest. And major red flag, at that point, I would just run away. But again, I think some jealousy is normal. Over the top jealousy, not normal. So, trust builds relationships. If she's worth it and you're patient, you can get past it, but don't ignore the red flags also. Early on, it's easy to have the blinders on, because again, guys come over here, they're all of a sudden dating a really beautiful Filipina, half his age, and they just kind of choose to ignore these red flags, and that's a mistake. So take your time, go slow, watch out for the red flags, and you'll probably be just fine. So guys, if you've dealt with this kind of jealousy before in the Philippines, drop a comment down below. I'd love to hear your story. What's the most over-the-top story you have? I've had crazy ones. I've mentioned them in the past, and I'd like to hear your guys' craziest story as well. Your story might help someone else kind of discover, oh, that's happening to me. I guess that is a major red flag. So guys, like, share, and subscribe if you want more honest takes on expat life, dating, and everything in between. I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao.